Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the United Stand. We are live starting your week's news off with Manchester United. And top of the headlines this morning is your mate, my mate. Everyone loves me talking about this guy, Harry Maguire, priced out of a move away from Manchester United, according to the MEM. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what Samuel Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News has been saying about Harry Maguire and how it looks virtually impossible for him to be leaving Manchester United this summer. Touching on that and adding to the financial fair play regulations, it's more concerning the Premier League rather than UEFA with what United are struggling with right now. A bit of detail on that and why it is important that United do actually have to sell players this summer to actually make money and make them targets for financial fair play. Moving on to ahead, and this week, obviously, we're looking for Onana being announced. Obviously, another bidding for Højlund. We're expecting that this week, and football to actually talk about for a change instead of talking complete and utter bollocks. I mean, I don't care saying that. It's pre-season, and let's kickstart the week how we've finished the weekend, because it has been a frustrating one for a lot of United fans. I'll give my opinion on David De Gea and what's gone on there and everything towards that. I've listened to quite a few people's opinions now. We've done spaces and Instagram lives. So now we're live on YouTube. I want to get your thoughts on this, and obviously we'll get into that and what implications that has. And some people a little bit miffed off with how David De Gea has been treated. I think that's fair in saying that, but some people are looking at it a completely different way as well. So I want to talk about everything on that. But obviously, first of all, is everyone's best mate at Manchester United, Harry Maguire. And for some reason, I have been titled with this Harry loving, this English biased tag that I've got. I'm not. I am not a massive fan of Harry Maguire, especially when he's not playing brilliantly. But there's a lot of people who actually think, well, actually, no, it's probably just because of what Mark said in that interview that I did when I was in a press conference, that one that he didn't actually watch and have any idea what I actually said in that press conference. He just made it up as he went along. And then everyone jumped on my back for it. It wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. So you can forget I can't speak or anything like that. Harry Maguire right now is Manchester United captain. Mark did a very good video on it the other day talking about the captaincy being stripped of Maguire. Get that done, get that signed, sealed and delivered, and get Bruno Fernandes as Manchester United's captain. That should have been the first job of pre-season, in my opinion. So as soon as Bruno is back, I think that just needs to be everyone together. Everyone knows, full squad, staff, everything. This is our captain, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire. You should be in that and see everyone accepting Bruno as our new captain. And know your role at Manchester United, which is fifth place, fifth choice centre-back at the football club. If you want to stay at Manchester United and play there, then I'm asking questions about where your head is at in terms of your football career going forward, Harry. That's where I'm at with that one. I do believe that he is literally I don't even know what word to describe Harry Maguire in that situation of like knowing that he's not going to play and being happy with that. That's what I would then say is sort of money grabbing, a player, a mercenary. Plenty of them players have passed through Manchester United's books over the last few years. That's how I would judge that. To read into what Samuel Luckhurst has said, a £50 million price tag. Now, I'll read out the full quote first of all. £50 million price tag has been put on Harry Maguire to prevent him from leaving this summer unless there's a compromise on said fee. So someone is really going to have to get into Manchester United and want Maguire and go in and try and work out a deal and try and bring this down a little bit, because Harry Maguire is not worth 50 million of anyone's money. At that age and the performances, not a guaranteed starter. We know what qualities he has got in playing for England, but when he puts the United shirt on, that's when the problem has occurred this season for him. He's not been good enough. It's as simple as that. But Samuel Luckhurst saying here in the MEN, 50 million. 50 million. Wow, no, not a cat in hell's chance. And they're saying here, and what Samuel Luckhurst is saying, and he's just gone into it about being behind Raphael Varane, Victor Lindelof, Martinez and Luke Shaw, fifth choice. But he's still seen, and Harry Maguire still sees that as okay. I'm like, wow. But what also Samuel Luckhurst is talking about here is Manchester United cannot afford to bring in a replacement for Harry Maguire. Do we need a replacement when we've got 5 there already? I'm sorry, but 4 centre-backs or 4 capable centre-backs, which we have got, and Victor Lindelof stepped up to the mark last season. When you've got 4 in, I don't think we necessarily need to be busting a gut to think about replacements. When you are short on midfield and you've got midfielders that are dropping out, we know that Fred's leaving, Sabitza's gone. We've only got one midfielder in to replace them two. We need another midfielder. If we have to say, look, you've got 4 centre-backs, we're short in midfield, sacrifice Harry Maguire, drop that price down, make that seal, let's bring in a player that we really, really do need. That's what I'm saying. Super chat in from Canado 9000 says, good friend of mine, a good friend of mine, let's call him Fabian Barthez, has said during a water polo match, his friend Neymar wants to come to Manchester United. That sums up all of the transfer window in one super chat right there. Nice one. Cheers for the super chat, buddy. But yeah, that's it. It's all he says, she says. This £50 million price tag that Samuel Luckhurst has been talking about for Harry Maguire. For me, I think it's a little out there. I think it's a headline grabber, personally. I don't know if the club have let that price tag slip out and are not letting that come out and circulate around the media. For me, no. Another super chat in from Wolfie35p. Great YouTube name again. Maguire not worth 50 million when Manchester United bought him. That was it. So you can take inflation out of this game and he's still not matching his value, is exactly where I am at with that. 200 grand a week wages is an issue for Harry Maguire for anybody going forward. Now, we had Chris Wheeler on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was breaking down his Harry Maguire deal and the news that came out regarding Manchester United having to fork out 10 million to get rid of Harry Maguire. Now, that is to subsidise his wages. That basically is to pay off his contract as it is now. Therefore, then letting a club who wants to buy Maguire to come in and work out their own wage structure. Maguire won't then be disgruntled by the drop in wages because he's had a massive payout. And if he is moaning about that, then he really is just a money grabber and he is really degrading himself in doing so. So that was how it was working. United pay off the contract. They then deduct that off the price that anyone pays for him as a transfer fee. So if it was 30 million, which is more realistic, you take 10 off that, that makes 20 million for Harry Maguire. And that's what United would end up having. 200k off the books in wages. Obviously, we've had to make that payout, but it's 20 mil in the bank. And obviously, that can then go towards a midfielder. It can go towards that striker that we're struggling to make the bid for. It now helps us in terms of budgeting, in terms of bringing Onana in. Basically, when you break everything down, you look at it, Manchester United have to sell players. Zayn Miassi in with another super chat. Zayn, good morning. It's good to see you all hyped up, ready for your season. Arsenal spending and spending and spending. Adam, who has a better chance at signing Mbappe next season, United or Arsenal? Rice versus Mount, no competition. Depends what type of midfielder you want, mate. Mount is not the player that Mount is not the player that Declan Rice is. Two different caliber of players. Growing up, you would say that Mount was the better player. Rice has come to the fore and done really well. Mount is a completely different kettle of fish. He was ahead of Rice, in my opinion, 3 years ago. But Mount's just taken over. He took the captaincy at West Ham, guaranteed football at a football club. Obviously, is going to benefit you. So, in terms of answering that super chat question, Zane, who's got a better chance? Have you listened to them stupid reports of someone saying that Mbappe is blown away by the Arteta project at Arsenal and would love the challenge of taking on Manchester City and winning a title with Arsenal? Bullshit. Then yeah, go down that line if you want, mate. I don't believe one bit of that, to be honest. If any player had to choose between United and Arsenal, then yeah, I think we all know the answer to that one. And I'll let the chat answer you back on that one, Zane. I think you know what's coming. But cheers, as always, for your contribution, my friend. It's always good to hear some Arsenal craziness every morning. It just makes me feel better about where United are right now. I mean, if you guys listen to TalkSport, I don't know if you do. I think it was Rory who was talking about Arsenal now being weaker with the players that they brought in compared to the ones that they've let go. And you know that's probably going to work the complete opposite when that guy opens his mouth and says something. If you know what I mean, obviously go back to what he said about Haaland at the start of last season. So that's not boding well for us as United fans. Probably will work well in Arsenal's favour. But yeah, that is where I think in terms of the signing, look, I said it on the show the other day. I said, look, let's break everything down and just say, look, this is a Ten Hag signing, Mason Mount, Ten Hag signing. and look at the players that he's brought in before. That's what I look at. I mean, I'm trusting in this manager. This manager that has improved players, has been the biggest improvement since Felix Ferguson was at the football club. He wanted Mason Mount. He's watched Mount for years. We all know the tracking. We've all read the reports about how he wanted to sign him when he was younger. And to be fair, I'm happy with Mason Mount coming in. I'm not happy if it was the only one. So I think the issue with United fans at the moment and where this transfer window has gone in terms of incomings is the fact that they're looking at Mason Mount being the only one. And no, it's not. And they're judging that then and bringing that into the conversation of, well, Mount isn't a brilliant player. Well, Mount is a very, very good player who is only young and can get better under a stable, productive manager who makes players better. Ten Hag can see the improvement and the qualities that he's got. So he can see the improvement that he can make under him and his guidance. He can see how he fits into his squad. And there's still a ceiling to hit for him. It's a productive and it's a very, very progressive transfer. That's how I look at that. It's the club saying, we will get Mount no matter what for our manager. He fits what he wants to do. But everyone's now looking at it going, yeah, this is the only sign. It's not that good. And you get comparisons with Rice and things like that. Well, to be honest, it's like Casemiro's still going to be playing for 3 years. So where does Declan Rice fit in? He's not going to take Casemiro's place, is he? Because that's where he predominantly plays. So when you look at that, you say, well, yeah, what do we need really right now? Because we can't hang around for Casemiro to retire. The man is fit as a fiddle, doesn't get injuries. Yeah, he's got a red card in him, and we might need cover time to time, but his injury record is impeccable. And he's probably got another 3 years at the top in that position. So why would we be looking at a Declan Rice? I mean, I would love Rice in this team if we could afford him, but we're not in a transfer window for that. We're in a transfer window of priorities, and priorities is further up the pitch in the creative attacking sense. Ten Hag likes to press from the front, i.e. Mason Mount will run forever. Bruno will run forever. 1-6, 2-8s. We've seen him play that system before. We just need to get that forward in now. I've gone completely off tandem and completely off. But I'm looking at it going, Harry Maguire still is top news this morning. And yeah, I've still got to talk about it, even though I don't want to. I really don't want to talk about Harry Maguire. But a few guys talking, let's see. I do read membership chats. It's just this morning, there's a load of stuff going on. I'm not in the studio. I'm not having them come up on my screen properly. So do bear with me. It is kind of my fault for not actually telling you why I'm in this environment here right now. But there are about 7 people developing a studio right now behind me. And I'm just coping with what I can. I only work here, guys. So if I have missed your message, then I am sorry. I will read it out. So just bear with me. So there you go, Amanda. Member, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your message. I do apologise that I didn't explain the circumstances of this morning. I had no idea what I was walking into when I came into work today. We desperately need a number 9 before anything, says Lee, 100%. In my opinion, they only got one of the players Ten Hag wanted. I mean, one of the players Ten Hag wanted, obviously, was Onana. He wanted a new goalkeeper. I think he's made it clear. I think he's made it clear from the get-go, inadvertently, or not so much inadvertently, but he has literally made it his sole purpose to actually change the way Manchester United play this summer. That's how I'm looking at the signings. Onana will bring that difference in. He is going to give you heartburn. He is that type of goalkeeper. Best comparison I can put there is the Fabian Barthez type of goalkeeper. Give you them nervous moments, but not afraid to go back and do it again. Not once bitten, twice shy type of character. You know what I mean? Not like the Anthony Joshua. Now he's been floored once. We've not seen him throw a punch in anger since. These are the players that you need at Manchester United. These are the types of players that are going to be the ones that take you forward. You look at Alisson, look at Edison, look at the mistakes that they made, and they make mistakes, big mistakes in big games. I mean, the fact that Edison made some great saves in the second half completely overshadowed his absolutely dreadful performance, which nearly cost City the Champions League in the first half. But no one's talking about that because he made them saves and his mistakes weren't punished by Inter Milan. All big keepers make mistakes because they're brave enough to keep going back and do it and keep taking them risks and keep taking them chances. De Gea wasn't for taking chances. De Gea was never that type of goalkeeper. The game has evolved and De Gea's best years were 4 years ago. I think Mark was going on about we just sold a goalkeeper that had the Golden Glove, totally disrespecting the defenders in front of him, which in 2 of the last 7 games that I went to, I think both away from home, or actually no, 1 away from home and 1 at home, David Hay didn't even have to make a save. The defence kept anything out from the opposition. I think Nottingham Forest didn't have a save to make. Wolves at home didn't have a save to make. So where's the praise for the defence? Let's just ease off on the Golden Glove thing and saying we're getting rid of a legend and someone who has just done and had a miraculous season. He's not. He's not had a fantastic season for 4 years now. He's had a good season last season, and that was it. His contract ran out. Thank you, Dave. You are a legend, and you were a shining light in some darker days at this football club. But let's not forget, he hasn't been in that team of the year since 2018. And that says everything you need to know. He was brilliant, but he's been good the last 4 years. That's it. Thanks, Dave. You have been brilliant. Move on. Stop crying about it, United fans. Seriously. God, it's a hard business. And you know what? When I'm sat there paying thousands of pounds watching United every single week, I'm thinking about how are we going to change? How long do I have to sit through these mistakes? Yeah, you could say that argument then needs to be moved into the rest of the team. Harry Maguire, for instance, like we're talking about this morning. I mean, you look at it and you say, we can be one way with a legend like David De Gea. You could even bring Ronaldo in. And some people would say, look, Ronaldo, he's another player, an absolute world-class player, and the way we treated him. Why aren't we doing this with Harry Maguire? Why? Well, to be honest, you got to look at it and you got to say, well, it's because financial fair play has really hit in. I'm not having Mark's comments saying financial fair play is just, it is a joke, it's a farce. It isn't, it's reality. Financial fair play, and if you read into it, and if you can be asked reading into it properly, then you will understand why Manchester United are actually hampered this pre-season by financial fair play so much. Not many people want to actually look at it and go, oh, I can't be asked looking into the details of financial play. I can't be bothered. Why? Now that the COVID restrictions and us being able to write off the COVID seasons come into effect now, I can't be bothered in thinking, right, okay, I need to read a little bit more and learn why it's the Premier League restrictions and not the UEFA ones that are hampering Manchester United right now. When you break it down, what you got to look at is it's to do with the Glazers and the Glazers not investing money in United. Keep that as your main focus on what is going on right now. And that is where Manchester United's issues are. It's not the people working at the football club right now, the Myrtles, the Arnolds. Let's not forget they've only been doing this. This is their second summer now. And no one was complaining last year when we spent 215 million. And every one of them players that were bought last summer were impactful in so many ways, in a positive way for Manchester United. We actually spent well. The season before that, they brought in Sancho, who everyone said we wanted. Varane, world-class Rolls-Royce defender who everyone loves. And Ronaldo, an absolute legend. So let's not get on their backs right now, shall we? Let's look at the stupid contract that Maguire's got, that Ed Woodward gave him, and them trying to deal with that. And let's look at the fact that everything player-wise that has come into Manchester United under, say, Arnold's and Myrtle's tenure at the football club in their positions right now actually isn't as bad as what everyone is making out. We're just looking for someone to blame because the Glazers hide behind it all. That's what we're doing. And it's just simple mathematics. That's all it is. If you look at financial fair play in detail, you'll understand why Manchester United are struggling. And it's all right, everyone moaning and laughing about City and their sanctions and everything like that. But everyone's willing for United to just go down the same route. Double standards is how I see it. And I think people just need to get a little bit of a reality check as to what is actually going on in football. It isn't just Manchester United that is powerful. We can do this, we can do that. Look at what's happening to other clubs. Look at what happens and what is happening with Everton and how they've gone about their spending and now how much they've been hampered. The last thing United need is a cap on spending, which is what the first sanction is if they fall under them rules that the Premier League have. Super chat in from Ray says, to be honest, ideal goalkeeper is the best player I think I'm struggling with your typos there, sorry, mate, bear with me. Best player, you trouble and We were. Let's hope Onana is great for us, but I don't want to see him as the best player. I mean, just defending. I sort of, in the midst of all that, really appreciate your comment there and your super chat as well, Ray. Thanks for that. Some of the wording was a little bit mixed up, but I got what you were talking about. I actually understand that, yeah. Let's hope that Onana isn't everything that everyone's talking about, because that means we're playing bad. That's all it is. David De Gea was fantastic for Manchester United because the rest of the team around him was so bad. That's what it was. He was highlighted because he was making save after save after save. And that's what's important. Everyone needs to remember that. He had Billy Jones and Smalling in front of him. So he was a busy goalkeeper. What are you talking about, Adam? You thick. Oh, this is brilliant when someone actually spends money to slag me off. You know why we have to check the financial fair play? Murto been at the club for how many years? And Ollie said there is no difference in his role. So unknowledgeable, complete and utter balls, mate. That's all I'll answer that one too. But thanks for slagging me off with some money. All goes towards the wages, mate. So yeah, cheers for that one. No, Murto's role has just been elevated. Let's not forget, and everyone seems to forget about the people that have been let go of Manchester United in terms of the decision makers. And you're going to listen to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said. But cheers for the contribution, mates. No, basically, in their new roles, it is a case of they aren't doing too bad, but they are hampered by what has gone on before. And again, you go back to the Glazers and the power trip and everything that happened pre-COVID. Manchester United's debt was barely 200 million before COVID hit. And then it hit, and then it was used as the escape route for nearly everything in life, basically. Every excuse was used because of COVID. Financially, obviously, then the books have all been written off and the financials are completely different because of that now, but that's past. And this is the first year when the restrictions are really hitting home. And that's why United have to be a bit more careful. One thing I do agree with you guys is, and one thing United do have to really actually take by the scruff of the neck, and this is on Murto and Arnold too, and I'm not letting them off with this one, is this is the summer when they have to show their mettle in terms of selling players. It goes back to Maguire again, like we were talking at the start of the show. Harry Maguire needs to be sold by Manchester United because he is fifth choice. And this is nothing against Harry Maguire right now. This is just pure logical talk. It's Harry Maguire needs to go because we're stacked in that position. He's been sat on the bench with two defenders most of the season next to him and still not got on. So we've got plenty of cover there. So we sell him, we move on. Where do we need players? We need players in midfield. That's where that money needs. And United have to sell. They have to sell players. They have to be brutal. We're hearing the Fred news, and that would be, I think, again, that's sensible transfer market. It's what United should be doing. We should have people in position that actually can act that way and actually see an opportunity like Manchester City do. We're seeing the City goalkeeper being sold to Burnley for 19 million. The guy's never played a Premier League football game in his life. And we're selling about 3 players for less than that. That is what's mind-boggling. Putting people in positions in the football club that know what they're doing. And yes, it's sort of contradicting ourselves and what I said in terms of Arnold and Murto. And I just feel like they need to be given time. I think they're being given a harder ride than what the real issue is. The real issue is what happened before it, in my opinion. And they're having to deal with that now. When Henderson was in net, Maguire used to perform better, says PJ with the super chat. I'm not too sure about that. Did he? I mean, I was always a big advocate of a controlling, commanding his box goalkeeper, and the defense automatically played better because you've got that stability and security behind you. But I don't know about that one. Again, it's all about opinions. If financial fair, I'm going to read some of your messages now because I don't want you all getting upset again. If financial fair play is a problem, why does it not affect Chelsea? Again, if you read into it, it doesn't affect Chelsea because Chelsea have got owners which actually put money in. Now, some of the financial fair play restrictions and the limits you can go in terms of losses can be cut back if your ownership wants to add any investment into the football club. So not necessarily that owner can then go and buy a player, but he can invest money into debts that are on the football club or the running of the football club. And again, I go back to the Glazers not putting any money in of their own into Manchester United. So United's turnover, United's revenues have to pay everything, whereas City and Chelsea have got owners who pump money in. They can cover. So your loss, for instance, for the Premier League, you're allowed to go up to 105 million over a 3-year period. But 90 million of that can be written off by investment from the ownership. Now, that for United could be selling shares or actual investment part into the football club, but the Glazers invest nothing. And that's the difference. It is all down to the Glazers, like at the top of the show. Forget about your targets and people you think are not doing the job and everything like that. Everyone's job is hampered and they can't perform to the best of their abilities in that job, in the structure that is at United right now, because the Glazers don't invest money. The biggest problem is the Glazers. Will always be the Glazers. And as long as they stay, we won't be able to compete with Manchester City and Chelsea in the transfer window. United have spent money last summer in a hope and backing this manager. It's the last throw of the dice, basically, because that was bought on a company credit card, which they are now not spending money on. That was a one-off credit card. They spent over 200 million on that. It wasn't their own money to back the manager, and that has got us back in the Champions League. United will be in massive, massive trouble if the Glazers stay and we're not in the Champions League. That's the worst case scenario. That's where we're at. You have to be in the Champions League. The extra money coming in from the Champions League and the investment that has now been put in as well as extra from UEFA is definitely going to help Manchester United going forward, but we have to stay in it. We have to compete. But this transfer window, we have to be incredibly savvy with what we spend. We have to sell players. It's as simple as that. It's like questions there. Are we selling Diallo? Are we selling Fred? Are we selling Donny van der Beek? We have to sell them all. If we want to progress, then sacrifices have to be made. United are balancing the books and the restrictions are under control in terms of the wages now that De Gea and Ronaldo have gone. I don't think we're going to get any massively inflated contracts now past what Marcus Rashford has got. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. I think the new rules that are kicking in terms of caps on agents' fees and stuff like that, that's going to just stop the big wages and everything like that happening going forward. But United still do have to raise their own revenue. If you've not got an ownership in place, then an ownership in place that's going to put money in, then you're going to struggle. That's what these rules are. That's what is happening. And that's where we're at as a football club and why we all want the Glazers out. And we hope that this takeover is going to happen. You can straight away write off the 70 million it cost us to finance that debt every year. That can go in the kitty. We can cover 90 million of that 105 loss if it gets to that stage by the owners putting money in to help us with financial fair play and the Premier League rules and regulations. That all comes in. The extra money then from the Champions League, because we can spend. It's all about getting rid of the Glazers. That's all you need to know. It's always been them, always will be them as long as they're at the football club. The restrictions, the shackles, the handbrake, the handcuffs, however you want to say it, how you want to sort of put it across there or break it down, it's always the Glazers. That's all you need to know. How much can an owner actually put in under financial fair play? Well, you're allowed to go up to 105 million loss in the Premier League rules over a 3-year period, but 90 million of that can be written off by investment from the ownership. You can also use the youth team and the women's team, which we do, and write that off against certain outlays, because under the financial fair play rules, that is, the youth team is seen as something that's going to prosper the game going forward. So you can use that as a write-off against the actual debts and the actual losses. So you can put that against it. It's like using whatever you've invested into your youth team and youth structure. You can use that to write off the actual loss that you've made over your financial period. That's another loophole that the likes of Chelsea, that the likes of City, everyone has gone into. Look at the complexity. We haven't even got a ground for the under 21s to play in. We haven't even got a stadium for our women's team. This could all be in and offset against the financial fair play. That is what Manchester United are not doing. And we can't do that with the Glazers because they haven't got the money to invest. When you listen to people say we're going to invest in the infrastructure, it counts for everything from top to bottom. That's what we're not going to get. That's not what we're going to get. Anyway, people saying I'm waffling. Well, people don't want to know, like I said at the start of the show, the reality of things. They just want to hear the big snappy headlines, don't they? I mean, we'll get into a few of them again now. We've talked about Maguire. We don't really need to talk about Maguire much. If you want it all summing up, Manchester United are pricing Maguire out of a move away from Manchester United, and they're, in their words, saying they can't afford to replace him. Now, that I don't agree with, and I think that is complete balls, to be honest. Moving on, I don't want to talk about Maguire anymore. Another bid going in this week for Highland. We know that this is moving forward. We know this is a target United want to happen. Interesting reports regarding Fred and his new agent, and another player that should be being sold, which is going to help us finance the Onana and the Highland. I do agree with what Mark said. I do think it is going to be free at a push for players coming in this summer. If we do manage to sell a couple of players, I can see someone like that type of player coming in to midfield. Highland coming in as a forward. We desperately need a striker. I do believe we will not start the season without a striker. That would just be complete suicide on United's part. Obviously, if they were willing to stick with David De Gea, but that finance has definitely hampered us going all out. I do believe that if Manchester United didn't have to go for a goalkeeper, we would already have our forward in. I think that's the case. I think there is reality and not a spiel that United weren't banking on having to fork out so much for a goalkeeper. I know Ten Hag wanted one, and I did say at the start of the show that he has sort of made it his point, his purpose to actually get another goalkeeper in. I do believe Henderson probably was even being considered and talks were being held, but that's all been put aside now. They've had to commit to buying a goalkeeper, and I think realistically, when I look at it all, it's a smart move. I do. I think that's what Manchester United needed to do. Super chat in from Tracy says, "Morning, Adam. My problem is Ronaldo was shown no respect and treated like crap, but Maguire is treated like he can't do anything wrong. Ronaldo number one." I did touch on that point earlier on, actually, Tracy, and that is like that double standards. And I can understand that argument from a lot of United fans. The problem with Harry Maguire is he doesn't kick up a stink. That's the difference. He really doesn't kick up a stink. He doesn't do anything bad in public. Well, Greece aside, that's a sideshow. Kind of dropped myself in on that one there a little bit. Well, in terms of like club stuff, you're not going to see Maguire spit his dummy out and walk off down the tunnel. He's a team player in terms of that side of things. And I think that's what the club look at sometimes as well. I do believe that is a big part of it. He just keeps his head down and doesn't bother. Another super chat in from Dan the Man 1986. Only prop I have with 40 million for a goalkeeper could be better used in other areas. The goalkeeper progression could be done next season. 40 million could have served a Kim Min Jae. That is a very good super chat and very important. I'll just bring that one back up on the screen there so people can see that as well. It is, and I would probably be in that boat as well. It wasn't my number one priority, but I think, and the way that the club handled De Gea, and going back to what Tracy said in hers, Ronaldo, I didn't have a problem with. I would compare more the David De Gea to Harry Maguire side rather than bring Ronaldo into this. Ronaldo showed a complete disrespect for our manager, and I don't believe that this has happened with either Maguire or David De Gea. I do believe that David De Gea, I think you have to look at it sometimes and go, well, yes, the offer was there on the table. The contract was there for De Gea. He signed it. Where was David De Gea's team saying, Manchester United haven't signed off on this yet. Let's not sign this just yet. Because it was clear. And we had Chris Wheeler breaking this down for us. And sometimes people just need to take a look at it and not read the headlines. Actually listen to the people in the know when they say and break it down. It is a case of the club, the player and the manager have to sign off on a transfer. It's so players can't be bought ahead of the manager or above the manager's say so. And likewise with players and clubs. Everyone, all three parties have to sign off on it. The manager, the club, and the goalkeeper or the player, whoever it is. So the club and apparently De Gea signed off on it, but Ten Hag didn't. So there lies the problem: communication and organisation within our football club. And let's not let them off the hook here, because everyone's quick to blame the football club. Where were David De Gea's representatives when all this was going Pete Tong? They were nowhere to be seen. Surely they have to take some responsibility for not looking after their client as well on this one. So, yeah, that's how I look at it. Ronaldo, totally different ball game to what De Gea has gone through. And I would always probably compare, I mean, when you break it down, you can't even compare Maguire to David De Gea. De Gea's out of contract. He's out of contract. And the club have done everything in their legal rights to not extend that 1 year. And it's going to annoy people, I know, in every way. There's a lot of love for David De Gea. But you got to look at it. It wasn't all one-way traffic, is what I'm saying. You have to look at everything in this scenario. And, yeah, it is hampering our budget. I am in complete agreement with that super chat there that said we should be looking at the defender or the midfielder or the striker even before the goalkeeper. It has took a big chunk of our budget away in signing Onana, but it's a needs must now. It is a needs must. Adam has the best pronunciation of Kim Min Jae. Laugh out loud. Mark always pronounces J as J, not to be Karen. I'll put that up so everyone can understand, because it doesn't sound right as I'm saying it. So sometimes it's just some that you need to listen to and actually read. But yeah, I mean, getting back into what actually is going on realistically right now with United, the tour starts this week. United are off to Oslo. We've no idea who is going out on that yet, but it'd be interesting to see how he balances his squad. We've got players that aren't even back yet. So who is actually going to be in Oslo? Who is going to be playing? Facts are we are, let's see. Who is back in training? There's loads of first team players that aren't back yet. So you got to look at it and go, it's probably going to be a makeshift team. We're going to see some youth players, hopefully, which will be good. There are a lot of good players in that youth team that I think can prosper from a good pre-season under Ten Hag. Like we said, you got to look at the likes of Ahmad coming back, an opportunity for him this pre-season. If he pulls up trees, then I can see Ten Hag using him next season. I really can. But also, on a positive note, can we use him in any make-weight deal as well? I mean, you got to look at it that way. You got to look and say, look, there is a possibility here that Ahmad may be used in Manchester United's transfer budgeting. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. It's cutthroat, but it's needed sometimes. You need to get the right players in for the manager. Like Steve says there, Palestri as well. Big pre-season for the likes of him and Ahmad. Get some game time this summer, and then hopefully, well, if we're not going to use them, then can you actually see Palestri or Ahmad actually coming in next season? I don't think so, because it'll be everyone out again for United to buy and strengthen. Are these players ever going to get an opportunity? Is the time now to actually start bringing them in, trying to make them look good on pre-season, sell them on, use them? Is it going to be worth loaning these players out again if you're never ever going to use them? Because we're the ones who end up paying the wages. It's difficult because they need game time to actually earn value, and they obviously aren't going to get that at Manchester United right now. There's too many players in the way for both of them. Some good young players coming through, the likes of Reece Bennett. Hopefully we'll get game time in defence for United. He had his little cameo when they went out to Spain just before the World Cup finished. So it'd be good to see a few more of them players as well. And like I said, we've got to use our youth team as well. If it's not for game time, we have to use it like City do, selling a goalkeeper who's never played in the Premier League for 19 million. This is where United need to jump on board and actually get a reality check in being able to utilise every part of the business and every part of the club, because we are falling behind in so many ways. I mean, I look at it now this week. I can see a half youth team, half senior team who have been back in training, two teams in different halves. You know the way pre-season goes. It's actually exciting to actually have football to talk about, though. And we will have a forum show on after the game as well. Beth will be out there covering the Oslo one. Then I will kick into action for the US part of the tour as well. So yeah, we have got plenty coming up. We've got a lot coming up on the show, which is going to give us some good insights as well into a lot of things going on at United right now. This afternoon, we have Simon Stone coming on the show with Beth. Adam Talks this week is being moved around. Obviously, we've got a lot coming up. We've got a lot of interviews coming up. So it's moving over to the Wednesday. We should have Dave McDonald, Disco Dave of The Mirror, who is going to do an interview for as well out in Oslo. So that will be covering the Adam Talks show as well. So yeah, there's lots coming up and lots of insight coming up this week, guys. So do stay tuned. Football to watch. Journalists coming on, special guests coming on the show. I can see loads of stuff going on behind the scenes here, all covered up behind. There's about 7 men working behind me about 20 minutes ago at the start or in the middle of this show. So yeah. Highland, I did want to touch on him quickly. That did get sidetracked by a super chat that came in. But yeah, Highland, I can see another bid going in. I can actually see that Mason Greenwood make weight actually happening as well. No one's talking about Greenwood. No one wants to talk about Greenwood. Obvious reasons with that. But the reality is he is there and part of this squad right now. And if we can use him, we should use him. We should use him. I mean, if that means him going on loan for 2 seasons, so be it. Bring Highland in for that. Maybe Greenwood comes back a completely different player altogether. So, yeah, it is going to be interesting. Financial fair play. Super chat coming from Thomas James. Financial fair play affected how much you sell, not rocket science. Affected by how much you sell, not rocket science. Not quite. Not quite. There's a lot more to it than that. I understand where you're going with that. It is a case of, like I just said, utilizing everything at your disposal, the youth team, balancing your books with it, selling players from the youth team, getting decent value, not going out and spending stupid money and wages on players that don't fit the mold, that aren't Manchester United players. It looks like we're past that stage now, but we are having to recover from that happening in the last 10 years under Ed Woodward. That's the problem, and why financial fair play is so hard for us. Steve Run says, are we looking to use Ahmad in a trade deal for Highland? Also, any news on Frimpong? No updates on Frimpong. Romano was touching on this. How United are still in and still looking and monitoring Frimpong. Ahmad, there's no news on that being used as a make weight. That was just something that I said. And if United were clever, if we're not going to use Ahmad that way, can we use him another way? Is he not going to come into our team? Can we use him to get a player in? Like I was just saying then with Greenwood, use what you've got. We're not going to see Greenwood this season for United, I don't think. I think he will end up being sent on loan. I don't think Ahmad will come into the team going off the noises. So why not use them to make something happen for this season, i.e. bringing in a Highland, bringing in that player we need in midfield. However it may be, you're going to have to use everything. What is Ahmed's position? He plays normally off the right, attacking player. So the Antony or Sancho sort of position. I know a lot of people will probably put him ahead of Sancho at the moment, but you got to look at it and you got to say, yeah, well, he isn't under Ten Hag because I don't think he's fully ready for it. So that's why I put it out there. I don't know when Ahmad actually comes in. I don't know where he fits in at the moment. So yeah, another question there. Highland, I think that's going to be one of them that drags out. Maybe we get an announcement while we're probably in America regarding Highland. I don't think it's going to be quick. I think United have to do some business beforehand. And I think I said on a show the other day, I think I did say the players I can see leaving Manchester United, obviously the Henderson, the Fred, I think Alanga will go. I think Donny will go. I was saying I thought Harry Maguire was going to go, which brings us back to the title of this video and Harry Maguire still being at Manchester United. The reports are, just to summarise and round up now, that from the MEN, Samuel Luckhurst is saying United have put a £50 million price tag on the head of Harry Maguire. And that is deliberate to ward off any suitors who want to take him away from United, because United feel like they cannot replace Harry Maguire. I've bigged up the club in certain sections today. I think that's a lot of crap, to be honest. And if that is the stance, then that's a joke. That really is. We can afford to replace Maguire. We don't have to replace Maguire this summer. That is the whole point. We've got ample cover. and you are risking again another player leaving the football club. Well, if he don't go this summer, when is he going to go? That's all I would say. And that will be another player that we spent a fortune on who walks out the door on a free transfer. And some people will be happy with that. But the fact that he's still around when we could be making money off him, cut your losses, take what you can and help Ten Hag put some more money in that budget for us to actually bring in players we need. If it's coming down to a £10 million difference for Højlund, then why are we not selling Harry Maguire to make that difference up? Harry Maguire is just going to sit on the bench, costing the football club, what, 12, 13 million pounds a season in wages. He isn't in Ten Hag's plans. We can see that. He's going to lose the captaincy this summer. So why not, is my question. Why not? And it's nothing against Harry Maguire. It just needs must. Our manager has spoken with his feet and his team selections. So for me, that's the biggest sign of the manager, without saying it publicly, without saying it directly to the powers that be's faces, that we need to get rid of Harry Maguire and bring in this player. I need him, but this player is now fifth choice. Sell the fifth choice player, take your loss, make what you can, because that 10, 15 million difference on a bid can be everything. It could be the difference from making that Højlund signing and not, and United being really struggling next season. That's it. I mean, there isn't much more to go off, guys. There is a lot going on this week. Obviously, we are expecting the announcement that here we go for Onana. We think he will be ready and fit to go on tour to the States with Manchester United. Ten Hag wants him there. I think that will happen. And then moving past that, I think the Højlund one will drag on a little bit, but that will get done as well. We'll keep you up to date with everything and all the news breaking. But it is a very, very busy week here on the United Stand, people. Like I said, Simon Stone, Dave McDonnell, and possibly more this week, along with football to watch, fan forums back, United playing pre-season kickstarts in full swing this week, people. So do stay tuned. Kick your season off. Hit that bell notification. Subscribe to the United Stand. You will get full updates of everything that is going on as it happens as well. Cheers for tuning in, everyone. Thank you for all your super chats, and all the love, and all the haters as well. I love you. I love you all. I love you. Anyway, cheers for watching, everyone. Like the video. We'll probably see you later on today. But for now, that is it.